All right, so um, it's just it's dope having you here. I wanted to kind of talk to you because so let me just put this in context. I've known you since high school, and we're going to talk about a bunch of different things I want to talk about today because
Yes.
you are such a layered person. I remember seeing you in the paper with states for like sports.
Right.
You did like table tennis, basketball, volleyball.
Mm-hmm.
Then when I brought you to my prom, you were my prom date, and I remember the teachers were like, son, is she in high school? Sir, one of the old men pulled me over and was like, sir. I was like, I know she has the body of a grown woman. But she's graduating when we all put your hands off me. She's graduating like everybody else. And we went to two different schools, but you were a superstar athlete. Then you were a scholar athlete, because I know you kept with like a 3.0.
Mm-hmm.
And we were all at that time in urban areas, but where y'all were in town, it was like the dojo.
Right.
It was thick over there. It was hearing sirens and police and all that stuff was like,
yes.
It was like Christmas music on that side. It was and I want to talk about this because I think upbringing and your character just screams past all of this stuff, and which I want to talk about. You were married before.
Yes.
We'll talk about. I also want to talk about you have 5 kids.
Yes.
One of them a set of twins, correct?
Yes.
How many brothers and sisters?
5 sisters, 3 brothers.
Okay. So that's 9 of y'all.
Yes.
And you are ranked where?
The 8th out of 9.
So you what they call my mama called a knee baby.
Yes.
Next to the baby, the knee did they call it knee baby? Where you from?
I've heard it before.
A knee baby. I was like, you the baby or not? No, next to the baby, the knee baby. Knee baby? Some country. All right, so, and you're a Zumba instructor.
Yes.
You're in your 40s.
Yes.
Relax, gentlemen, because I know y'all gonna ask the shit vampire, but no. Like, you have 5 kids, so you take your health very serious, right?
Yes.
I want to because I want to ask some questions around this.
Okay.
You're currently in a relationship with somebody that's from Africa?
Yes.
What country?
Nigeria.
From Nigeria. Okay.
Yes.
Is it Igbo or Yoruba?
Yoruba.
He's a Yoruba. Okay, awesome. And this guy has he's pretty ambitious, right? He works for like the government or something like that, and he has some properties and all that other cool stuff, right?
Right.
So I don't want to tell all his business. So I won't. But he's a fairly ambitious dude.
Yes.
And he's serving our country, right?
Yes.
It's incredible. All right, so I just want to make sure I got my facts straight. And you have your own business.
Yes.
Because I want to address this boss chick thing. Because I have issues with, and I'm sure you do, right? Because real bosses have issues with people who call themselves bosses.
Right.
Boss chicks. It's like, right. So I definitely want to address. I think you're a boss chick.
Right.
And I want to address specifically why I think you're a boss chick versus, and being in the finance industry, I've sat with 700 families in 3 years.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm dealing with budgets. You and I have sat together to talk about, being a financial coach. You were probably one of the best appointments I ever had, just the humility and the attitude you have about your family, your finances. So, but I've sat with a lot of people who have an interesting philosophy on what they deem as a boss financially, specifically. But so I want to address that. And you grew up with your mom and your dad. Yes. Your father was a religious leader.
Yes.
Preacher.
Yes.
Okay. I'm gonna cover all of this stuff because I want to get some of it. I don't want to go so far in the video that people miss some of this stuff. Mm-hmm. And so in high school, and you worked at McDonald's from freshman year to senior year.
Yes.
While you were a student athlete.
Yes.
While you were on honor roll.
While I was in the marching band as well.
While you was in the marching band. While you was in the hood.
Yes.
All right. So let me see if I missed anything. So you got a daycare business. You're a songwriter.
Yes.
and a singer, and you have a clothing line.
Yes.
That's one of your pieces you got on right there, right?
Well, no, this is actually Puma right now because I'm into sports.
Well, what's the
Just
hat?
Puma.
The hat say sunshine. Though.
Oh, it says sunshine. Yes, this is all me.
Oh, okay, that's part of your. Okay, all right, I'm with it. So
Yes.
that's great stuff. All right. So anybody, because now you as a Zumba instructor, they can look up Rebecca House, right?
Yes.
That's your instructor's name. Instructor.
Yes.
Okay. And your artist name is Sunshine.
Yes.
I dig it. I'm just trying to remember what else. It's like, what can't you do, right? So, all right. So all right. That being said, I want to kind of back up to a couple of different things. One of them I want to address first is this mindset that you have about co-parenting, right?
Okay.
I want to cover it all. So I'll make notes. So I can put a line through what I feel we cover, because I hear all the time that there needs to be more dialogue between Black men and Black women, and we need to talk and all this other jazz. And it's just, we're doing too much yelling and opinions. We don't really do any talking. So I'm like, all right, so let's talk.
Right.
And for me, I try to minimize having conversations with what I feel is toxic women. Because I'm like, all right, we could talk, but what's the point of talking if it's going to get dark?
Mm-hmm.
So I don't think it's going to be toxic. If it does, we'll pray. So co-parenting, you were married.
Yes.
He had a child when you married him.
Yes.
So you essentially had what you call a bonus baby.
Yes.
But you don't
So
like
that makes it 6 now.
Okay, so it makes it 6. But
Yes.
you took that child in like your own.
Yes.
Because some people with a step thing, they act like they steps. But in your mind, it was like, this is my child too.
Yes.
Was the child's mother very involved or no?
No.
Mm.
She couldn't be at the time. I never ever want to take away from a woman, but when you see that a woman is struggling, or you hear, because we weren't allowed at that time, or my ex-husband didn't allow us to engage and to talk or anything. So he kind of said it as he was the only one that talked to her, or if he went to go get the child, he would get her. He would not allow me and the ex-wife to be around each other at the time.
Oh, so he wasn't trying to make it messy.
Right.
Well, that's huge. Because some people just like stuff messy.
Yeah.
I think the most crazy thing in the world is when I hear any man, if I hear any man or woman who say, oh, I had to check the son's dad, or I got in a fight with the son's dad, I literally walk out. I'm like, bro, you got to be the most disgusting human. If that son grows up, I hope he beats you till he's tired. I hope he beats you. Like, why would you ever hit his father? Right. I just don't understand the logic of that. Or women fighting. It's like, I just don't understand it. So that's good. So he had boundaries, making sure that wasn't messy, right?
Right.
All right. So y'all got married, and then you guys had how many kids together?
2.
All right. So y'all had 2. So there's 3 kids there, right?
Yeah.
And then for whatever reason, you guys get divorced.
Yes.
And you never got, now obviously it wasn't good. For whatever reason, y'all had to get divorced, so something wasn't right.
Right.
How much fighting did the kids see?
Not one. Not one.
Hold on, what? Explain that.
I explain it because, well, first of all, with my child care, I believe that just around kids, period, one thing I did not see my mother and father do was argue. So I think that was started from the core. That was what was planted and seeded right then and there. I never seen my dad and my mom argue. So just right off the bat, that was something that I did not want my kids to experience. So if it was anything that I was going through, I would take it outside, like majority of the time, because he worked 7 days a week. If we argued half the time, it was on the phone. So I would take that outside of the house. Like I will go and take a walk and talk to him on the phone. But I would never, ever do something like that in front of my kids. I'd never let them be exposed to that type of situation, because it was not healthy. It's not healthy for a child, period.
Right. I think it's very traumatizing.
It is.
Yeah. And you being a daycare provider, y'all do a lot of training for that, right?
Yes. And then even just with children in my care, if it's things that I'm going through mentally or if it's just things, I was going through a divorce and everything, but that was something that I never let that spill into my child care. Like a lot of people that are angry and upset, they take it out on their kids, knowing that the kid did not do anything, but because of their anger outbursts and issues and problems that they had within
How
themselves.
did you know they took it out on the kids?
Oh, hello. I deal with kids 24/7. Kids come and tell me, I just had one of my kids tell me, Daddy put his hands around mommy's neck. And that was probably like a couple of months ago. So kids bring that to our center and our daycares every day, all day long. They tell us what happens at home half of the time. So when parents are not thinking that the kids are paying attention or listening, they hear it all. They see it all. They may not say nothing. Some of them may say something, some of them may not, because right now with my kids, I may have one that might be like, Mommy, why did this happen? Or why did that happen? And the rest of them didn't pay no attention to it. And it's nothing like an argument or anything, but it could just be something like, for instance, it's just funny, but one of my, and this is my kid, this is one of the twins, she's 7, and she just asked Mommy, what is constipation? And I'm like, what do you mean, what is constipation? But it's just I'm just giving you that as an example. Out of all of the kids, she was the only one that paid attention to that and had a question, what is constipation? Even though don't have anything to do with that. But that's an example that just happened last night. Like, there's always one that's listening and paying attention to everything.
Yeah. And what's amazing about your story is you could easily be a prototype and could justify to some degree why you're a prototype. Because when that marriage ended, right, you got into another relationship, kind of, that one was dying. And then there was a glorious oops there, right?
Yeah.
And the child was born.
Yes.
So then, now you guys were, and that father's pretty involved.
Yes, very much so.
So now we have 4.
Yeah.
So 1 bonus baby and 3 biological babies.
Yes.
4, which wasn't your plan.
No, not at all.
So then, but that was a glorious oops, but then there's an actual relationship you're in where you guys are trying to be cautious.
Yes, very much so.
And in that relationship, being cautious,
yes,
something broke.
Yes.
So the cautious mechanism broke. And then you give birth to what?
Twins.
So now you got 6 kids.
All together.
In the same house.
Yes.
What's your relationships like with the children's fathers?
A great relationship. I couldn't ask for better dads. There are tweaks. There's always a tweak in a relationship. There's always a tweak. When it comes to the co-parenting, we got it, hands down. Do I want the fathers to be more hands-on? 2, 1 is awesome. The other 2, I gotta talk a little bit and maybe just ask him to just pay attention a little bit more, or come on, I need you to just, be there, just so you can take the child out, go and, come and take them out, talk to them. But there are moments where sometimes I know that some men, especially my ex, one of them, I know he is struggling with this because his father wasn't there for him. So he don't know how to be a father to a certain extent. He knows, but he don't know.
So he knows. Is he a good provider?
He's a very good provider.
Okay.
All 3 of them, all 3 of them are good providers.
Okay. But emotionally, that might be a little bit. That's where the work. We got some.
Yeah, we have a slight problem there. Yeah.
Okay. But you take co-parenting. So how much child support do these guys pay?
I do not take them. They are not under the system. I would never, ever put them in the system. Why? Why put them underneath the system? We are reasonable adults, okay? And that's the problem. I know some people have to do it because of the issues and problems.
I'm about to get my mind blown. Go ahead. I'm listening. Go ahead. I'm listening.
There's
I'm about to grab a tambourine. Go ahead.
There are some that mentally wise or physically wise cannot come together as a team and co-parent. And so they need a little bit of help with the mediation. But for me, I can only talk and speak for myself. Why would I do that? First of all, there's enough men out here that's out here underneath the system. But for me, why would I do that? I'm a parent. We both laid down and had this child together. There's one movie that sticks in my head that plays a big role, and I can understand her position at that time. And that was What's Love Got to Do with It. And remember when Tina sat down and the judge asked her what she want, and she said, I just want my name. That's all I want because I worked hard for it. Mm-hmm. And she left out there with dignity and grace and left out there and built something for herself. So why, as women, why can't we do that for ourselves? Like if you have a brother that can't see the perfect gift that God has given you and I, why is it that you have to twist his leg or take him to the system? I mean, me personally, some people think, why do I have to, why should I have to take and tell you to do this, do that? Why even argue with that? You know what I'm saying? It's like, if God will have a man or well, for me, I believe God has something for everyone, has a person for each and every one of us. But if that man do not want to stay and take care of the responsibility that you and him laid down and had, why sit around and twist his arm and maybe even take him to the system to do it? This is when you as a mom need to pack your stuff up, get over it, and realize that you have a responsibility to take care of. So that's for me as a woman. I know I shift into like, let's grind, let's go. Okay, daddy's not here to take care of you. He doesn't want to help you. I'm not going to twist his arm to take care of you. So you're trying
to tell me that even if these guys weren't financially responsible, you wouldn't do that?
No. Why? They got me.
Okay, but luckily these guys are all financially responsible.
Very much so.
So I think the biggest reason probably why you have responsible men is a reflection of you.
Yeah.
The biggest, dopest thing about your whole situation, because if you were a victim and it was never your fault, you were a victim narcissist, it didn't matter if these guys were responsible. You would have found a narrative to justify plugging them into slavery, your kids into slavery, and putting them into the system. Yeah, you would have I think about, because what you just said is actually in the scriptures. I'm always blown away when I listen to men and women talk, but I tell people when it comes to like child trafficking, that one of the biggest violators is men. 86% of the violators are men. When it comes to robbing cars, I think it's like 80% are men. When it comes to certain crimes, mostly men. I think the crime of destroying the family today is mostly the women. Like, I think everybody should take responsibility for their specific sin in that specific time. But I think the study said 81% of the mothers surveyed, when they asked what was the disconnect between the children and the men, 81% said it started with me. I cut it. So, which is blown away that you said this to me, because I think virtuous, but in the Bible in 1 Corinthians 6, right, it says, if any one of you has a dispute with another, do you dare take it before the world instead of before God's people? Right? So it says, it says, therefore, if you have disputes in such matters, do you ask the ruling from those whose life is scorned by God himself? Like, are you literally going to take your children and all this situation and bring it before the world, right? And he says, Paul says, I'm asking you to shame you. My goal is to embarrass you, right? To think you can come here and be all religious. Because most of it, we grew up in church. So because I was in church, how often were you in church?
Oh, my goodness. I would say, out of the week, out of 7 days, I was probably in church at least 5 days a week.
Yeah, me too. So most of the toxic examples I've seen was in church, because that's the only place I was at.
Right.
Most of the time I've seen single mothers jumping around, clapping and singing, and I seen a child and no dad was in church, because I was the pastor's son. So I would always be like, where's the children's fathers at? I just never, and not that I could judge the world. All I was judging was the church, because that was all I was at church. So I just couldn't understand, if this is church, We're supposed to be doing godly stuff. I thought Jesus was like Lord and Savior stuff. But look, this is blow away. It says, Paul says here in the scripture, you should be shamed. You should be shamed by taking your family instead of sitting down. It says, is it possible that there's nobody among you that was wise enough to judge the dispute between the two of you? You couldn't find nobody that had any kind of common sense, but instead it says you take one another to court and in front of the world. The very fact that you have lawsuits among you means that your faith is done. Paul says the very fact that you're doing this means that you, in terms of walking with God, that you've done to me, right? And then it says, why not? Well, hold on. Do not be deceived, neither the sexual immoral, idolaters, adulterers, nor the thieves, or the greedy, or the drunken, slanderers, and swindlers will ever see God in eternity. So you guys who do this, your likelihood of seeing me in eternity is slim than ever. And that what are some of is that's what some of you were, blah, 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 blah. But I just thought, and it said, yeah, whatever. Oh, it said, it says, are you not competent to judge trivial cases? Do you agree with that? The Bible says that you got to have some common sense and be basic competent to be able to judge your affairs instead of plugging your kids into that. Do you agree with that? Okay, you're looking at me like I'm crazy. So, because I would like to hear what your boyfriend from Nigeria thinks, or your man from Nigeria thinks, because the study said Americans lead the world in broken homes, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
American women are 4 times more likely to plug their children into that system and just tear this. They said when that happens, everybody's legacy is pretty much gone.
Right.
They said Black American women are 8 times more likely with no violent crime. I was in a chat with 3 million fathers. I'm in a group. One was 66,000 fathers. One was 700,000 fathers. Mm-hmm. The men, each time the guys would ask, what is the number one thing she said to you? The number one thing I read in the entire chat, it's on millions of men across the country, was when the relationship didn't work out, it wasn't, you hurt me, this ain't work out. Like you just said, I love myself. I'm sorry you don't see it. The number one thing was said is, you will never see your child again. I was like, what does that have to do about the relationship not working?
Right.
Like, you will never see your child again. And then the second popular statement was either, I'm putting you on child support. From that, though, or these guys were engineers, doctors, regular American men, hardworking men, or the men would post almost immediately, she put a restraining order and said I abused her. Some of the men are like, I've never been in an altercation in my life. It's just, I mean, I'm talking millions of men. So I'm like, all of these guys can't be lying. Do you think, because I'm already blown that you said this already. To me, you just, I probably, the guys that's going to listen to this are probably super mad that you're in a relationship. So you probably going to still get weird inboxes. I'll say a prayer for you. And I was probably stupid because, I didn't make it. Gentlemen, I apologize. I didn't work hard enough after prom. Apparently, I didn't have enough wisdom and insight to stay the course. And I'm telling y'all better be glad y'all wasn't there at the prom. You would not have been looking at your date. I assure you that it wouldn't have worked. It was a lot of slapped heads that night. But even in your own family, how often have you seen the women plug their families into the system? Outside of yourself, is there any women in your own family that didn't plug their family into the system?
They have.
Wow.
They have.
In church, how many of the women, this Corinthians says, don't do this. Mm-hmm. How many of the women have you seen still do it?
Not in church.
None of the women did that?
Not that I know of in church.
Okay, you ain't, so because you was.
I was a little girl. Maybe I didn't understand it,
okay.
But I did notice it was one mom and she had 2 girls, but she would come to church all the time. But I did meet the dad, but he was He was a drunk.
Okay, okay.
But he never came.
Could he sing?
I don't know.
I'm not like a singing church drunk. Oh, like, go on, brother. All right, sorry. All right, so because I've seen a lot in my own family. I've just, now that I'm 43, and I don't know too many women. I know a couple in my family that didn't just turn their whole family, and I just watched the whole family. I don't know anybody who really came out of it without a lot of mental illness, a lot of pain, and stuff like that. All right, so your man now from Nigeria, did he mess with any American women? What does his family think about Black American women?
Oh, let us speak on that. Well, first of all, they think we as African American women are going to take men to court. We're going to take and have their men, or have their Africans take them to court. And that's the first thing they think. That's the first thing they think automatically. Actually, that was the first thing they thought about me, because they knew they heard that I had kids, is you're going to be in a system just like the rest of the African American women are doing to our other Africans. So yeah, definitely, hands down, they think that automatically. There's no other way they look at us as African American women.
I've talked to families from Haiti, from Japan, from Korea, from Ecuador, from Mexico, from Brazil, Dominicano, and Jamaica, from Canada, from England. I mean, I've traveled the world music, and every time I ask the mothers, or we'll be talking, they will ask me, so you date Black American women? I'm just consistently, I'll be like, why? They will shake their head. Good luck to you. I was like, what? So the family, so that's what they thought about you?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, that was one of the main reasons why they did not want me to be with him. Because they think if we had a child together, or if we have a future together, if we get married and something happened, I'm going to take them to court.
Just put them in,
It's already, the African American women out here already have it. It's already in the like the world, like what you just said. You just named countries from all over the world, from all over, and they already have this concept of us already, that's what we as African American do. So
Black women in America tear up the whole the legacy.
Yes. And unfortunately, just being around or hearing just the situations, or hearing other women's situation, a lot of them do that. So they are proving what they're saying about us.
But you said you have a niece that's 17.
Yes.
That asked you what?
She'd asked me, she was like, she said, is there, you have 5 kids, right? And I told her, yeah. She was like, so why don't you get like help from the state? And I'm like, why? Why get help from the state when I'm...
Didn't she say why? Because you can get free food?
Yeah, free food, free money.
Oh, so, okay, just so people know, if you put a guy in jail, and I talked to the director of child support, he said, and if they give you money, it's not money, it's a loan, because you got that money from everybody else. So you ain't want to work, it's a loan. So if the guy gets out of jail and he has $30,000 in arrears, and he decides to meet with you, y'all hug and y'all co-parent, and he decides to pay $500 a month, he said about $250 of that is going to go back to paying that loan, and so you ain't never going to get what you got him. It's like, I was like, what? He's like, yeah, it doesn't work. Poverty, y'all legacy it's gone. That's a loan. So I was like, I said, what? He said, then I got the data that said that now women the Social Security and Medicare was designed for invalids, like the Bible, people who couldn't work, struggling, elderly, just all the stuff the scripture says you're supposed to create benevolence for. They're saying that able-bodied women that are on Instagram and strong and jogging and doing fitness classes, they broke the system. They could work, but they're getting all this so-called free stuff. None of it's free. So now it's hurting the ones who actually need it, so that's not your belief system. You believe in working.
Hello. Let me tell you one thing. I grew up with my mother and my father, seeing them both work. My dad, even though he was a pastor, he did not have, my dad was born in 1926, okay? So back then, of course, there was a lot of slavery issue problem. It was so much different things happening back then. So I'm quite sure when it came time for the education, my father did not have that. But I see my dad grind. I see my dad, he did lawn mowing, he fixed cars, he would fix houses. Like if something happened and something needed to be done to a home, he would go to carpentry work. My father did all of that stuff. So when I see my dad hustle from job to job, and then he would come in the house musky, smelly, dirty hands from working on cars all day long, he would go shower up, clean up, come out looking spick and span clean, put a nice suit on, and we were off to church. So I seen that. My mom was a maid, so I would see my mom go backwards and forwards to working 24/7. So for me, I was already seeing that. I was already realizing that, okay, you have to work. You have to grind to get what you got to do. Did I grow up on welfare? Yes, my mother and father could not afford it. So I grew up seeing that. But one thing I knew in the future is I wanted to break that cycle. I did not want to continue to the other way. Did I want to hustle and grind and work? Yes, but I did want to break that cycle of not being able to grow up having that or being in that situation and everything. So that was something that I worked hard for. So seeing my mom and dad work 24/7 until my mom lost the use of her legs, that was something that I knew that had to be done. There was no, you didn't have a choice. You have to get up and work. And that's one thing, coming from Baltimore and coming from the cities, that's one thing I can say my mom and dad instilled in me, was to be a hard worker and keep working until you get what you need. And then when you get what you need, still keep going. Or if you get to the top, bring others up with you. You know what I'm saying? There's so many of us that do that crab in a barrel situation.
What's happening to y'all brothers reading this? Are y'all okay? Are y'all okay? Yeah, calm down. Listen, it's few. The Bible says women like this are more rare than rubies. And rubies, diamonds are the most common of rare. Rubies are one of the most rare. So diamonds are rare. So I forget the percentage of a diamond versus other stones. And then some of rubies are anywhere from 10 times to 15,000 times more rare than a diamond.
And guess what? That ruby is my birthstone, believe it or not.
She does not have an 800 number, guys. And her man is.
You think I got on all this red?
I want to tell you, I'm so blown away because I tell people I believe in generational choices, not generational curses.
Right.
Because Ezekiel 18, Ezekiel tells Israel, stop talking about generational curses like you can't control it. Yeah. Everything is a choice. Matter of fact, Ezekiel says here, says, the word of the Lord came to me. This is Ezekiel talking to all of Israel. He said, the word of the Lord came to me, Ezekiel chapter 18. What do you people mean by quoting the proverb about the land of Israel? The parents eat sour grapes and the children's teeth are set on edge. He says, surely as I live, declares the sovereign Lord, you will no longer quote this proverb in Israel ever again. For everyone belongs to me, the parent as well as the child, both alike belong to me. The one who sins will be the one who dies. He says, suppose there's a righteous man who does what is right, just and right, and he does not eat from the mountain shrines, look at idols of Israel. He does not defile his neighbor's wife, have sexual relationships with a woman during this period. He does not oppress anyone, but returns what he took and pledged for a loan. He does not commit robbery. He does not give his food. Hide his food from the hungry. He does not provide. He provides clothes for the naked. He does not lend to people with interest, trying to get over on people. He does not take a profit from them. He withholds his hand from doing wrong and judges fairly between two parties. He follows my decrees and faithfully keeps my laws. This man is righteous. He will surely live, declares the Lord. Says to suppose he has a violent son who sheds blood and does any of these things, or does not do any of these things. Though the father has done none of them, he eats from the mountain shine, and he starts saying, but the son did all these wicked things. He said, will such a man live? He will not. That son's a dead man. He said, because he has done all these detestable things, he is to be put to death. His blood will be on his own head, not his father's. They're their own person. Now, I do believe that generational choices that can be passed down, and you got to make an assertive effort to change. But the thing I think that's gangster about you is you probably, now you have brothers and sisters. Did some of them, did any of them get on drugs or do illegal activity? And okay, oh wow.
Yes.
So for the most part, almost all of them got caught up in the world.
I seen that at the age of, let's see, I was born in Washington, D.C. And back then, of course, I'm a 75 baby. So back then it was heavy, you know, the 70s, that's when all of the drugs and everything was happening.
Yeah.
Yeah. So as an infant, I was in Baltimore. So my whole, from infant on up, I was raised in Baltimore. But just growing up seeing what drugs and alcohol does to families and to people, I seen that. I sleep, eat, breathe that every day. I mean, that was something that I seen maybe probably the age of 5, 6 years old on up, you know, all the way up until high school. I had to see what it did to my family. I seen what it did. I seen it destroy my family members, definitely, you know, so
crazy. But you, now who stayed the closest to your father and your mother?
Definitely me. I was a homebody.
So this is the part that's so gangster to me, because you went on to win states in sports.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
You were one on to be an honor roll.
Yes.
In Africa, they say one father is equal to 100 teachers. That's what they believe. One father is equal to 100 teachers. And they say, I think 80% of the kids that have academic excellence are connected to their father. But 90% of the dropouts, that they disconnected, they tore up the family, so the father's not there.
Okay.
Jamal Bryant just did this sermon that's become very popular, where he talks about his 3 daughters. One is Angel, one is, what is it? I forget the names. I feel horrible. Amore, and I forget the other one. But he gave them all $50. I don't know if you've seen this thing. Okay. So he gave them, they said, Daddy, can we stop in the store? And they said, can we have some money? He said, well, here's $50 to one, and here's $50. But the other one didn't take the money. She just started walking with him. She was walking down the store, and she said, you the best daddy ever. You know, I'm sure anybody's in, y'all should check it out. And do I look good in this? And he's like, yes, baby, you should get it. And she's going on, Daddy, you best daddy ever, you know, blah, blah. Oh, you should get that too. And so by the time she got to the counter, she has $150 worth of stuff. And the other daughters are like, hold on, Daddy, how is it that he has all of this? They got all the stuff and I only got $50. And her response to the sisters was, because I walk with him.
Right.
Would you say that a big part of the turnout on the fact that you thought different is because you actually walk with them more than the other siblings, and kind of seeing the work ethic, the transition, checking on your dad working on the car? Because you said you've seen your dad, the car break down, and he began to walk from DC to Baltimore, correct?
Yes, yes.
On the Beltway.
On Baltimore Washington Parkway. It was time that my father.
295.
Huh?
295?
295.
That's a grown man. You seen this.
Yeah, we seen this. He would leave us in the car. He had a friend that was there, so the friend would stay there with us. And my mom was in the car along with 3 other siblings. We were all in the car, and my dad would start walking. And I would just see him holding that thumb up, even though back then it's probably more safe than now. But I seen him just walking and holding his thumb up. And then eventually we're talking about 9 o'clock at night. And this just didn't happen one time. This would happen numerous of times, because there was times that my father just could not, the cars that he had was not working good, or they work enough to get there. And I remember this one time we were on our way Sunday going to church, and if we had a pacer. If anybody know about a pacer, it looked like a beetle. It looks like a what do you call it? Like a ladybug. It was shaped like that, and we all would cram into that. And I remember one Sunday we were on our way going to church. It was Sunday morning, and the car caught on fire. The front part of the car caught on fire. And at the time that the car caught on fire, it was literally a fire truck coming down at that time. I knew that was nothing but God. But the fire truck pulls over, pull up behind us, takes the hose and put the fire out. My father get up underneath there and finish doing whatever he did, closed the hood, and drove us all the way to DC. We had service that day, got back in the same car that caught on fire.
Oh my God.
Home that evening going into the night. Now, you ain't gonna tell me that was God. So that determination was already seen for me being a young lady.
How old were you when you saw this?
Oh my goodness. I was probably every bit of maybe 10.
That is what, listen, and I'm gonna tell y'all, when I was in the ministry, I was in campus ministry. I remember I would go to Lexington Market and our father would have a bullhorn and he would be preaching. And I was so scared to do anything like that. I would go into the corner. I would go in the market. Of course, I was buying some food because, you know, I'm a grown boy. And I would be eating, playing it off, and I'd be just watching him from afar. And I would marvel at this guy's fearlessness. He was this thin guy. He was so good looking. His smooth skin, his butter smooth skin. He had this amazing smile, right? He stood about 6 foot. How tall is he?
Around about 6'2".
Yeah, because I'm 6'3". He's about my height, but he was way back. You know, he was chiseled, kind of chiseled, older cat. And he looked like if you touched him, I remember one time the guy was ready to do something, the money, and he was ready to clock this dude. He looked like he wasn't afraid of nothing.
No,
and he wasn't?
No, he wasn't.
No, he was gangster. How much do you think that fatherhood, so this is probably, and I would imagine because you saw what a father means, drives your attitude towards what a father means to your girls.
Oh, definitely. I mean, just the determination, just the word of God alone is something that I can always say I got that from my dad. That is something when it comes to a scripture, when it comes to just taking care of home. I tell people a lot that I have a masculine energy about myself. Maybe because I'm a boss chick.
No, that's called balance energy, Mom.
Yes.
So let me help you get, because listen, let me help myself take a pause on it. Okay. A lot of y'all have extremely low emotional intelligence. Mm-hmm. Just so I want to help you with that, because sometimes people say, oh my gosh, she's kind of, because I know you. I know you're one of the most, what is the word they say when a woman is easily follows a man? Like you very
submissive?
Submissive, incredibly submissive. Mm-hmm. I'm just because most of the women around the world that are submissive are also strong, right? So they think, but I'm like, which means you got to boss up. You got to boss up, because if they really submissive, you need to be working. That's a whole separate issue. But I read somewhere that women teach their children how to win, but men teach children how to fail. And so I know my mom did, because my mom's a professor at Morgan State, and she made us feel like we do. You can, yes, ma'am. But when you failed and you got your knees and you just, scraped your knees or whatever, my father would go, come here. And he would walk you through the failure. Mm-hmm. And so men teach children how to, they talk about Jordan's and in Kobe, they always talk about, most of the superstars, Denzel, would talk about the conversation with their fathers for tough times. Mm-hmm. So I would imagine this assumption of masculine energy is just a balanced human. That you have high emotional intelligence. I know what I feel. I remember going to one tour. I was in Europe, and my band turned around, and we were right on stage. It was 4,000 people, and I was sweating. And one of the musicians said to me, "Bro, how you feel?" And I said, "I'm terrified." He said, "So what we gonna do? Let's go." And they were looking at me like, but it wasn't. It was my daddy. That was my, you know what I'm saying? So I just want to correct this whole, because ever since I've known you, the stuff we already talk about and the stuff you do, the value you bring to men is not masculine.
No. Oh, no, it's another side of me that steps in, okay? I got my mom.
But you make resourceful and make whatever to me, that's high emotional intelligence. Because if somebody says you're a boss chick and you're masculine, but you don't argue in front of the kids, that's not masculine. Mm-hmm. If you were screaming in front of the kids and demeaning the men, so you don't do that.
No.
Right. No. So much so that your children's father, the first, the one that was divorced, he put everything in your name, correct?
Yeah.
How does he talk about you to the community?
Oh, he definitely, he has told me on numerous occasions, like, you don't realize and understand how many times, but you know what? I will definitely say when I was with him, I felt as though he was treating me like I was the enemy. Like I was the one, and maybe may have came from the abusive, not even abusive, the abusive relationship, let's just say that much, because that was probably one of the previous women that he was dating. She would put her hands on him as well. But maybe
he was in law enforcement, right?
Yes, yes.
Was she African American?
Yes.
All right, go ahead.
And so
she was hitting on the law enforcement guy.
Yes.
That was
yes.
trained to knock her out.
Yes, but he didn't.
Of course, but he's trained to.
Yes.
That's like smacking a lion in the mouth. That's a good idea. Okay, go ahead.
And so he would always treat me like I was the enemy. And at times I would just be like, well, I don't understand why you're treating me this way. Like, you're acting like I'm going to take from you, like I'm going to steal from you. And it was at one point in time that he, right now, up to this day, he said, you know what, I tell people all the time, I am so grateful and thankful for you, because the person that you are, the woman that you are, you're a great mom, you're a great, like, I messed up big time because I missed out on something great and big back then. And so he definitely he tells me, he talks to people all the time about me, and he wished that that was something that he would have never, ever done, because now this man can trust me with his life. But it was.
Did he say, I can trust you with my life?
Yes, definitely. Definitely. He has me as the beneficiary for everything. And he know that that's something that he know for sure, that he trusts me with everything or anything right now. So we may not be together, but he know that he can trust me to take anything, to take it to another level, to make sure everything is covered and taken care of. That's one thing I can say about him, is he know that I will take care of everything. And that's one thing that I never, ever have problems with when it comes to him. He know that he can trust me, but I wish that trust was something that he had back then, but he did not have. But he realized that after we broke up.
Oh, and then him being in another abusive relationship didn't help.
No.
And I would imagine, because African Americans have always led in marriage. Now we lead in divorce, like 70% or some insanity. And America leads the world in broken homes, right? So that's pretty sick. And of the broken homes, the African Americans lead. And during slavery, in the time your dad was born, 1920s, like, no, they couldn't catch us in getting married and sticking together. They just couldn't catch us. And then welfare came, and then basically they handed it to the woman and said, you can have a male or your man. I'll give me the meal. You know, you can have these fries or your family. Give me the fries. And it was over. It was this reign of thousands of years of this unity of Blackness. And so my hats, you got a hat on. I don't. So for you, my hat on so many levels. As a father, as a man, my hat is off to you.
Thank you. Thank you.
It's amazing that your 17-year-old niece actually thought that stuff that other people pay for was free. Like how you can train poverty. And she thought it was a good idea to tell you to do that to your own children and their fathers and you.
And when she said that, I asked her, I said, why do that? Why? I mean, even just to think about me just being able enough to get up and work, that's what God has given us. Like, we're already laborers. So why not get out here and work for what you want? Why not get out here?
Because you saw it growing up, though.
Yes, definitely. My father did not sit down. My father was not one of those type of men that I seen laying on the couch. The only time my father laid his head was when he came home at night and he was finished and we put a plate of food on the table. He ate, he read his newspaper, and he went to sleep.
So now the man you're with now has some of the work ethic.
Yes. He does. When it comes to working, he does not play. Like, he works.
He gonna work.
He works.
He gonna work. He's from Nigeria and he gonna work.
Yes.
Now, does he have any kids?
He has one.
He has a child.
Yes.
Is it with an African woman or African American woman?
African American woman.
All right. At the risk of being judgmental,
I'm
I'm just gonna assume that it was probably sweet and that they may not be together and that she's like you. I'm just going to assume that he's an amazing example. How often does he get to see his child? Is it pretty consistent? Here's a boy or girl?
A girl.
Which is crucial that girls are connected to their fathers.
Right.
So does she facilitate making sure they have a great relationship? Or does she make it hard for them?
She makes it hard sometimes because she makes it hard when she cannot have her way. She cannot get money from him. Like there are times, for instance, one perfect example was the cable went off. So
in her house?
Yeah, her house.
And now she got broken legs?
No.
She got broken arms?
No.
And she's strong?
Very much so.
But the cable went out.
The cable went out.
All right, go ahead.
And she had an issue and a problem with the cable being out. And so the daughter was complaining about she couldn't watch her Mickey Mouse and everything. So he asked her, why isn't, do she have the cable on? Or why she don't have the cable on? She said, well, I couldn't pay it. And she said, well, if you want your daughter to watch cable, you need to pay for the bill. And so he is going.
I'm looking forward to these kind of women being put in jail and that being deemed extortion.
Mm-hmm.
Like, so she not your daughter too?
Right.
Like, you don't want her to be able to experience something too?
Yeah.
Go ahead. I'm listening.
And then it's times where he pays for the child care. He pays her money monthly to give her money and everything to take care, make sure the daughter's okay.
So is it hundreds? You place hundreds?
$340.
Okay, all right. Okay.
And then she needed to take and move. So she moved into another place. So now she don't want $340 now. She wants $500 now. She wants $500. Then she wants him to take and pay for the aftercare where his daughter goes at, because the daughter wants to play piano. So that's $200.
Hold on. Where does she work?
I think she works for the government.
So the only reason why you would have aftercare is because you're grinding so hard that you can't get the child in time, because you're working so hard. You are higher up and you're making so much money that there's aftercare. So you're probably fiscally responsible. Being a financial coach, I've sat with 700 families in 3 years. So I'm already, this stuff is what, so you work for the federal government. You have a good government job. You can't keep the cable on and pay for your own aftercare.
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead.
And then so
you can't pick the kid up. So you don't want to let the dude see this kid.
Oh, and then if he does not give into her demand of what she wants, she will cut off him seeing her. She will stop answering the phone. She will make sure that when the aftercare, if he go and try to see the kid at the aftercare, he cannot see the kid, or the kid is not there, he will go and knock on the door. She won't answer the door. So she'll just.
Is she Christian?
Yeah, more than probably so, yeah.
Because 80% of our Black women in America go to church on Sunday.
Yeah.
Because we, being preachers, I didn't sing them, I didn't sung to them, I didn't doing that.
Yeah.
And thinking God is called. I just want to. James 4 says, "Submit yourselves to God." So this whole teaching about submitting. The men need to submit to the women. Women need to submit to the women. Y'all need to have a. But then it says, and then James, which is Jesus' physical brother, says, let's just cut through this. This whole thing should be down to submitting to God. And he says, what causes fights and quarrels among you so-called religious jokers?
Hmm.
He says, don't they come from the demons and darkness that you battle with in your own heart? He says, you desire what you don't have, so you kill for it. You covet, but you cannot, because you cannot get what you want. So you quarrel and you fight. He says, you do not have because you don't even ask God. 78% of the people below the poverty line in America, in the Black community, 78% are the Black single mothers. I really believe that God's punishment for plugging your family into the system, when 1 Corinthians tells us not to do that, for punishing the kid, because Luke 17:2, God says it's better for you to tie a rope around your neck, put a millstone at the edge of a boat, knock it over the boat, fall over with it, and kill yourself. It's better to do that than to make one of these children have a dark heart. So the creator is like, what I got in store for you, it's better for you to kill yourself than what I'm about to do. I think it's Proverbs 9, I think it says, hope deferred makes the heart sick. So I'm like, okay, so if you have all these dreams and goals, and you're getting these good jobs and benefits, but none of your dreams and goals are coming. None of what you want is happening. I think it's because you done pissed off God. Mm-hmm. And you work hard and hard, but you're getting less and less. And as a finance guy who's sitting with people doing the budgets all the time, I think 3 of the single mothers that African-American that I sat with is out of 700 actually legitimately needed help from the guy. And he was willing. I mean, or they weren't. Most of them lived in places they shouldn't be living in. Mm-hmm. I'm looking around like we're doing the budget way above their means. And almost all the time, as a licensed guy in this industry, the response when we did the budget would be not, I need to cut back. Because most of the time I would ask them about the Amazon bill and spending and thriftiness. They would do the budget. And when it came to fiscal stuff like life insurance for their own kid or whatever, their response back was often, shoot, looking at this, I need to hit him. I would just freeze. That the response was, I need to extort this man for more money. Not, I'm looking at the car outside. I'm looking at the car payment. I'm like, why don't you have a used car? I'm looking at all the fiscal things that Dave Ramsey, Susie Orman, everybody says, don't do this. You don't, all the scriptures say, don't do this. And the response of this church girl is, I need to extort this man for more money. Let me just read this. It says, so you do not have it because you don't ask God. And he says, and when you do ask God, God will not give it to you because you ask for dark motives, that you may spend what you get on your own selfish pleasures. It says, you're adulterous. You're dark. You do not know their friendship with the world. It says, you have now become an enemy of God. Therefore, anyone who chooses to be a friend with the world becomes an enemy in all your plans with God. Or do you? I just think this is absolutely what you're saying is just so extraordinary versus what the scripture. It just, to me, do you not see it lining up?
Yeah, definitely.
I don't even think you knew. That's so. Did you know that was in there like that?
Well, I know you.
Yeah,
but
sure.
Now, to pinpoint that out now.
So I don't even think you knew how righteous these decisions you were making were. Mm-hmm. Probably the benefit of it was because you walked with him.
Right.
Your mom and your dad and their character. Because the scriptures say, train your child when they're old, they won't depart. Which means that if you train them ratchet when they're old, they probably won't depart. If you train them righteous when they're old, they probably, because your kids, how are they doing in school?
Oh, great. Like honor roll. We're talking honor roll with no problem. Like on the money.
Now, I mean, because they normally have the teachers program. The teachers day when you come up, bring the parent. How many times do they ask, bring you come up?
Oh, they will do the parents, the teachers and parent night where the parents come and meet. But I feel as though my kids have been doing so great in school that I do not go to parents and teachers night because my kids, they just always are on point. Like I have always made sure they had a stable environment and made sure, even though all 3 of the fathers, one is hands-on. But the other 2 are not there like I want them or they should be, not like how I want them to be how they should be as fathers. But there's no need for me to, I just make sure that they have everything they need and I make sure everything is in place.
Incredible. But
when it comes to the education, they know education is first. They are all on the road. We're talking 4.2, 3.6. grade averages. So that's something that, and the little ones, they're younger, but my little 8-year-old, she was so happy because she actually she got honor roll. So right then and there is something that I am doing to just make sure I keep a stable environment at home for the children to make sure that they can be able to be that mental state of theirs, they can just be able to focus on their work and do.
So I want to pinpoint, because they said men that are disconnected from their children in toxic environments only succeed at the 25% level that they could. Mm-hmm. But men who are in productive relationships with women excel 125% greater than the average man.
Wow.
all of these men are decent, are good providers, correct?
Yes.
But you didn't plug one of them into the system.
No.
They did a survey on the fathers that 75% of the fathers said, I would have given more if she had just simply did what the scripture said. If she just sat with me and we worked out something, I would give more. But when she took me to court, the system that she plugged us to told me to give this much. So I only did that much.
Mm.
And this family is worried that you're going to marry their son because they assume that you're going to be like the majority or what they've seen of other Black American women.
The rest of the African American.
And because that daughter that they currently have, granddaughter, is currently being treated that way because essentially she's a Nigerian baby. Because that's the father's from Nigeria. So he's currently seeing a grandchild be abused from the daughter's mother because so in addition, so this man is paying, how much is, because you said he's paying for aftercare, right? Aftercare. How much is aftercare?
$200 a week.
$200 a week. So that's $800 a month, plus he's paying $350. So that's $1,100 for one child.
Yeah.
She put him on child support. Just so she know, if she's being spiteful, she's gonna get less than that. Just so you know.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, she's gonna get less than that. She's gonna play herself. So I encourage you to tell her, go ahead. You know, if you won't stop breaking the law and abusing my kid, plug it. Then because now the law is going to be for her. You know what I'm saying? Like, go ahead and plug us in that. Because I think they said statistically the women that do that are 7 to 13 times more likely to develop a mental illness, bipolar. Everybody that I know that I love that did that to their family has a mental illness now. Every single woman. I asked one of the friends I have, a business partner, she just forgave $30,000 in child support. I asked her, why did you do that? She said, for my son and for us all. I said, why? She said, we all got less. We all were worse. He was worse. My son was worse. I was worse. I couldn't keep it. Nothing was stable. Like, we all went down. So she went before the 2 judges and said, just stop, get us out of this. Everybody, she said when she told me, she didn't even want to tell me because she was so embarrassed. This is how I know we're so far from God. Yeah. She was so afraid that I would be a part of a crew that would judge her for unplugging her family from slavery. So she said, she calls me coach. She says, coach, you were the first person I told. And after you, I was committed to not telling anybody else. So I gave her a platform. You need to come on and tell the nation that. Now, since then, everybody's heralding her and praising her, you know, the right people, right? The wrong. Let me get to mine. So this Nigerian brother, serving our country, working for the government, has some, I don't want to talk about what he got because she might see this and be like, oh, he do, huh? Because I'm sure she knows if he marries you, she gets less. Based on the laws. This is stupid. You're playing yourself. This is why the Bible says, it's a passage that talks about mockers. It says, mockers brag when they go to court. It says they do not know their head will be beaten in shortly. It's in Proverbs. Go beat that head in. So, you know, and then we'll be brought to shame. So I think you're just so dope right now. I got to look at my notes because I just kind of want to let you talk. I want to stop talking so you can talk. So hold on, let me look, because I'm sure people like, let her talk. If she that dope, stop talking to me. So your kids, and then you're serious about your fitness.
Oh yeah, most definitely. That's like number one priority at times.
So because your attitude is, if I don't like myself, it's easy to not like other people. Correct?
Yeah. Hello, you got to feel good within yourself.
Listen, Linda, listen. I tell everybody you can't, get this. If you got $2, you can't get nobody nothing but $2. If you don't got $5, you can't give me nothing. So it's like, as beautiful as she is, no, her love for herself. Listen, dude, if you ain't feeling me like this, I could go. My worth is cool. Somebody gonna see it. I don't need to tap my whole lineage so you can see. Correct? All right, so you got your own business. So essentially, you don't use any government anything to pay for nothing.
Why?
So your clothing line is you own that.
Hello. Yeah.
So now we ready to talk about boss chick stuff. Because my voice is about to, because this blows my mind when people are like, I'm a boss chick. I'm like, everything you got was paid for by somebody else. The government money is a loan, by the way. Oh, really? Yes, you got to pay that back. Really? Yes, you got to pay it back, or he got to pay it back, and then we're gonna put him in jail to get it. So you can wear a hat that says boss, you're a clown, but it's sips tea. So your stuff you own, your music. When you pay for your recordings, that's your money.
Yeah.
From the business you built.
Hello?
The
Yeah.
daycare.
Yeah.
The Zumba instructor.
Yeah.
So when money got tight, so because you got into Zumba because the daycare had gotten slow, right?
Well, I've been gotten into Zumba years ago because it made a difference in my life in the fitness standpoint. So I wanted to share that with other people. But when just recently, last year, when my business took a downfall, I had to take more classes. I was just gradually teaching in my home. Because if I got a big basement in my home, why can't I fill that up and use my own basement, my own space to bring women there to teach them and do it that way? So that's what I did.
You're supposed to be a victim. You're supposed to do like this, okay? Do you want me to help you practice this? Because it seems like you're not getting the message. You're not following the masses, okay? You're supposed to go like this because money was dried up, and now you're supposed to, because it's three men. And then you're supposed to plug them in and the kids in.
Right.
Why didn't you just do that?
No. Listen, I am capable enough to work. Why go out and get the system? Why get help for the system when I can get up and work myself? That's the problem with these women out here these days. They go and latch on, get everybody to tell I need assistance. Why not get up and go? There's so many places. If I have to work in McDonald's, I will work in McDonald's. If I have to work in Burger King, or like I was saying to a friend the other day, that if it means that I have to go back to school, because I did go to school for a dental assistant, if I have to go back to school to hire my education for a dental hygienist, which is something that I've always wanted to do, I would do that. So it's not just childcare that I do, but I did go to school for dental assistant. So I got that up underneath my belt as well. So I always make sure I have a backup plan. I will never, ever, and that's one thing I will teach my kids, and have taught my kids as they're older now.
How many boys you have?
I just have one boy.
And all the rest are girls?
Yes. Now I have my daughter, my stepdaughter, that is she right now, she has just graduated last year from Trinity in DC for forensic psychology. And so now she's now working on her doctorate. So it's something that I did. Her father wasn't really there. Her mom wasn't really there, but it was something that I instilled in her, because I've been in her life since she's been 10 months old. So she's practically mine. And I've been
How old is she now?
She's now 23. And now she's taking classes for her doctorate degree.
I can tell you for sure. Listen, my father opened the first Black-owned music store. This is what I believe parenting is crucial, especially co-parenting. And I think parents who take away from the other parent from being in a child's life because you can't get what you want should be in jail. Period. My attitude is, if a male or female, which mostly in this case statistically it's women, Black women in particular, they lead the country and that stuff. You don't get your way. The guy comes say this baby, you ain't gonna give me what I want. Now you can't see. I think immediately you do that, it should be, you just bring the police. That should be a $500 fine. Write the ticket right there. Second time you do it, it should be a $1,000 fine. Third time you do it, you should spend a day in jail and lose your license, just like the guys who don't pay their child support. If that's abuse, I think keeping a child from their father is abuse. You should lose your license. Catch the bus to work. If you don't value a working person parenting their child, you should catch the bus to work for at least maybe 3 to 6 months, period. License is revoked for 3 to 6 months or whatever.
Yeah.
For the sake of the child. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think this is absolute. The baby don't have nothing to do with that. I'm just shocked because our sisters, this wasn't our legacy. We were the most respected people on the planet. Now, African-American women are the most literally. I'm about to call a friend of mine from Haiti. And I'm gonna see if she has a second. Because if she picks up, oh, she's not gonna pick up. I'm gonna see, because she has a son, and I asked her, and I asked another one from Ecuador. I was gonna get all of them on the phone, so I knew I wasn't talking out of the side of my head, to ask them what did they really think, what did they teach their children about African-American women. And I asked them all separately, so I couldn't, like, on a separate call, and they'd be like, yeah, we kind of feel that way. They said exactly what you said all other coaches feel.
Mm.
My son will not touch a Black American woman. I just think that's, but I don't want to speak bad. I want to praise you for the choices you made. Hello? Yes, hello? Is this, are you there?
Yes, I'm there.
Yes, so I'm gonna try to have her on the show. She's from Haiti. To me, the dopest Negroes on the planet Earth, because they brought them here from Africa, and they're the motherland of this land to me. Haitians are yes, they are the true West Africans of the Western Hemisphere. But can I ask, so you have a 10-year-old son, 11?
Yes.
Okay, what is the thought process of a Haitian boy marrying a Black American woman?
Usually they kind of forbid us from going that route.
They forbid you from going that route.
If you bring an African American home, or you even think about, actually most of the time we don't even think about it.
Can you hear this in here?
Can you hear me?
No, you go ahead. Go ahead.
Okay. Most of the time we don't even think about it, because the thought process is your mother tells you, don't bring any African American home.
And they Black. Now they African, right? They Haitians. I mean Black.
Right.
But why?
Because they usually connotate African American women as being promiscuous and gold diggers, and not partners, basically.
That they're not good partners.
Right.
So like they'll tear up everything.
Correct. Like when we marry, usually we try to marry within our own people, because we know usually like marriage is a big thing for us. When we get married, we get married for life. Although the United States did change that in a lot of our culture. In other words, people are getting divorced a little bit more now, but I think the rate of divorce is still lower in my community than the general American population. But saying that, we stick to each other because of that, because of the values that we have from growing up.
I apologize for taking you from your meeting. I got to tech you in the meeting. I appreciate you giving time. I thank you so much for your time. Hopefully we can have you on the show, but I'll hopefully get a chance to call you back. But thank you so much.
Okay. No problem. No problem. Have a good one.
All right, you too. Is that not crazy?
Yes.
I mean, like, we only make up 4% of the planet. So is 96% of the planet stupid? Like, is the CDC stupid? They talking about it. Every organization talking about it. And because I know you since high school, and I didn't know this. I just assumed that you did the same thing. I'm so sorry. I assumed that. I was like, oh my God, it's so good to see you. You're like a vampire. You look exactly the same. Father God, prom all over. I don't look the same. You do. I had no hair. I had hair on my head and none on my face. It's backwards, right? And so I'm a big dude. Back then I was skinny with a big behind, and now I have no behind. I think my stomach, I don't know. Things have changed for me, but for you, hamburger. I just knew that that's what you said you was going to. Oh yeah, so I do this. I didn't even know what to say when you said, no, I'm not doing that.
Yeah, definitely.
And as a result, your kids are doing incredible.
Oh yeah, definitely.
These men's income, I'm assuming, keeps going up.
I never ever have a problem with neither one of them.
Financially. So they give you more.
Anytime I need the kids, or if I tell them, hey, it's time for the kids, school time has come up, they with no problem. What you need, how much? It's never ever an issue. It's never ever a problem. They always just ask how much you need. And they know I'm not going to say nothing crazy, because they trust me. They know that if I have to quote them every inch and every ounce of how much it is, I will do that, because I'm a bargain shopper as well. So But I've never ever wanted to be that type of woman that want to be a gold digger, or that I've always wanted to marry a man for what's up here. As long as he was a God-fearing man and he was smart and intelligent and something that he could bring to the table and we can work together, that's all I wanted. It wasn't about the money. I could be broke and we could be in a shack and be happy, okay? Perfectly fine. I will be. But
she's
see,
in a relationship, gentlemen.
But let me tell you this also. When you were brought up the way I was brought up, and we didn't have much. We didn't have much at all. You learn to just be grateful and thankful for what you did have. So now my life is more abundant right now. I'm still sometimes, half of the time.
Now, I got you off. We're in Corona. This is a financial crisis. I'm big on talking to people about having an emergency fund. Do you have a bit of an emergency fund?
Yes, I do.
So you aren't vindictive. And you got spillover. God has blessed you with extra. My God, you got extra money in a crisis.
And right
when
now,
the women in general who do this, 80% of the time end up broker and poorer, not better.
Right. But yeah, it's like I said, I believe, if you know, as a woman, I'm not coming across being cocky, but I'm coming across with being just my self-confidence. If you know that you are, number one, a child of God, and you know that you are underneath that umbrella of God's ordained, okay? When you know that God has you covered, anything that I touch will turn into gold. Any man that I take and deal with or talk to, he's going to prosper like I do. Like, I don't believe in staying at one level. My level of success is I'm always thinking about what's the next era, what's the next step.
All right, so let me read this, because you about to, I hear the organ, and let's say Sunday, I'm hearing it. No, I'm joking. This is what it says here in James, the second part, based on what you said. God says, I go after and oppose those who are proud. So those who don't honor this, their dreams, their goals, all that hallelujah, all of that, I smash it. It says here in verse 6, I just smash it. I gave you guys want to walk with me, it's cool. You want to be friends with the world, good luck to your ideas and your dreams. He says, but I show favor to those who are humble. Then it says, submit yourselves then to God, resist the devil, and he will flee from you. Come near to God, and God will come near to you, which is crazy that you just said this. Wash your hands, you sinners, and purify your hearts. You call them double-minded. Breathe mourning away. I will change your laughter into mourning, or your joy. I would keep doing this. I would change your joy into gloom. It says, do not slander one another. Anyone who speaks against their brother or sister, judges them, speaks against the law and the judges itself. So you mean you don't speak ill about your kids about your dad to your kid? You don't do that?
No.
They're no good. You don't make the weird faces. You don't do all of that you don't undermine them. No. I tell people, I remember I was in a relationship with a woman, and her son was reading 3 grades below his reading average. She did not let us see his dad for 5.5 years. And I would say in front of her and her mother on a regular basis, why are you talking about this boy's father in front of him? Then you might as well say it directly to him. Tell him he's nothing. And this is abusive. He's 3 grades below his reading average. What do you think it's doing to him? But your children are 4.2 because you actually follow this stuff. It says, so don't slander each other. It says, and when you judge the law, you are not, it says, when you judge the law, disrespect the law, you're not keeping it. But you're rather sitting in judgment. There is only one lawgiver and judge. So the Creator says, some of y'all are more excited about being in control of other people than loving people. So since you want to do that, it says, since there is only one lawgiver and judge, but you want to be that, it says, now you sit in the judgment.
Right.
It says, the one who is able to save and destroy. But you, who are you to judge and play God over somebody else? I know you got stuff to do. I hope every woman calls you for advice before they jacks up and break something.
Yeah.
I don't have a number for you, and I don't want to give them your personal number because I know you're private. So anytime you get an 800 number, I'll put it in the chat when I post this. 1-800, I'm going crazy, whatever you want to put. 1-800 Sunshine? No. I don't know what you would have.
You have my email.
I do. So if they inbox me to talk to you, because I think there are cases where men should be held accountable. I do.
Yeah.
I think there are some, but the child support office said that in the data that the overwhelming majority of men, the issue is not them paying child support. The issue for the child support said the overwhelming issue that the men are broken about, which they're 8 times more likely to commit suicide, is access to their own children. They said the children, like I said, the black children have the highest suicide rate in America. I think somebody should go to jail. Baltimore City, check this out, and I'm gonna let you go. Did you know Wisconsin has a rule, if you get a divorce, before they grant the divorce, the man and the woman has to have a plan on paper where they're going to co-parent the religion the child is going to hold to, who's going to pick them up to school and when, where they're going to live. They have to lay it all out on how you're going to current before they even grant the divorce. Wisconsin, for every 1,000 people, they have 4 violent crimes. I know you got 4 violent crimes for every 1,000 people. They have one of the lowest divorce rates and one of the lowest crime rates. Maryland, that doesn't have that same conviction, we have 40 violent crimes, 10 times more than Wisconsin. Baltimore, who's considered to have one of the worst, actually, I don't know if you know, Baltimore's child support department has been purchased by Lockheed Martin. It's now private. So they got quotas and stuff to tear up families.
Wow.
And God says, I'm not blaming them because they're worldly. They're greedy. That's what they do. I'm coming to crack your head for plugging your family into that. Because they're doing what they're supposed to do. But right? So nevertheless, Baltimore, check this out, has almost 70 violent crimes per 1,000 people. 91% of the homeless in Baltimore are fatherlessness. 95% of the gangs, they said, is fatherless. The girls are 500 to 600 times more likely to be raped and molested. 1 out of 4 or 3 connected to being disconnected from their fathers. There's 3,000 children in schools in Baltimore City that are homeless. That's almost 1 or 2 per class. Number 1 reason, disconnected from their fathers. I wish I could take this interview and put it on CNN so the country could praise you.
Well, I can tell you another thing, Marcel, which is very interesting. You know how they say the company you keep? It's very interesting.
I was great reading that. Go ahead.
But the company that I have, the people that are around me, or my circle of women that are around me, no one is like that. Like, I have a lot of married couples. I am probably 1, maybe 2 out of the rest that's divorced now. But I was in it for 11 years. But the rest of the women that I'm around, they're married and they're with the father and everything. But no one, like, maybe because it's the company that you keep is what's around you, but that's not, I don't hang around people like that. I don't hang around people that have their men in the system, that have husbands in the system. And, I've always just, even that's what goes with my name, Sunshine. I am the light around the people that I am around, but I am just surrounded around a lot of positivity, not negativity, not issues and problems and fighting and arguing and all of that stuff. So I don't have that around me. And like, you could tell me a lot of things about the system and everything. I couldn't tell you much of anything because I don't know of a lot of, other than maybe one person, which is a family member, a couple of family members. That's probably the only reason why I know of the system. that was would be the only reason why I know about the system, is because of their situation. But as far as for me and my close friends, I don't know of anyone that have anyone in the system, because that's something that we just don't do. We don't believe in that. And me personally, coming from Baltimore City, Cold Spring and Ricestown Road to be the heart of the city, when people are you see parents left and right, you see single moms, you see dads that are out here, and seeing all of that stuff, and then growing up and not even wanting to partake in any of that. No, it's just not my cup of tea. I've never been that type of person.
No, she's in a relationship.
So, but yeah.
I'm telling you, I tell men all the time, there's a difference between a partner and a project.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna do a separate video on why millions of us men picking projects over partners.
Mm-hmm.
It's on purpose, guys. I'm gonna tell you what they did to us.
Mm-hmm.
What you just said is in 1 Corinthians 15 says in verse 33, do not be deceived.
Mm-hmm.
Bad company will tear up your character.
Mm-hmm.
Verse 34 says, so come back to your senses as you ought to. Mm-hmm. Which means, number one, you got to start cutting off people. It says, and stop sinning. What you mean? So you mean to tell me God is saying the company you keep is sin? Yeah. You can have sinful relationships.
Mm-hmm.
I don't care if they're your family.
Yeah.
But there are, because you said there are family who told you to plug these men into the system, correct? Most of the people who told you to do this to them, and do this to your children, were in your own what?
Family.
So there are some who are ignorant of God. And I say this to their shame. It's shameful.
Mm-hmm.
All right,
So here's the very important question, Marcel.
Oh, you want to ask me? Oh, you question? Okay, go ahead. Either me.
Here's a very important question. When it comes to the brothers that are or were in relationships and they're looking for someone else, or looking for a woman that they know that's not going to take them back down that same road, deep, dark road that they were in, how do the men find the women like me, the red gems?
This is about to be another segment, but I'm gonna give you a little. It's so hard to have a conversation with somebody like you, right? So it's just, so one of the things that the House of Ruth has a abuse training class for men, and a lot of these men were they were lied on, mm-hmm. But they got to take this class for domestic violence or whatever before they got taken. Mm-hmm. One of the things that they teach in the House of Ruth, and you may be shocked, is they teach worthiness. They tell the men right away, a lot of y'all in here, because you don't think you're worthy of something better. Mm-hmm. And I'm saying, man, they should teach that class before you go in that sucker, because y'all would choose different. Mm-hmm. But I tell people, corporate America, Hollywood, 98% of all commercials are geared towards the emotions of women, mm-hmm. Right? I've been in business and sales for 25 years, every sales meeting I've ever been in. This is how sick it is. This is how I know these jokers. Everyone, even the women that train me, taught me, when you go into the house, ignore the man, focus on the emotions of the woman. So where am I going with this? I want to help you understand why this is a big deal for a lot of guys. I helped a guy last night who was almost 60 years old. There was a great go off on his woman that was 16 years younger, and she was abusing this dude. He pays all the bills. And I'm saying he got 3 kids with her, and I'm sitting up here. Before I would go, why would you pick somebody like that? Mm-hmm. But ever since men are little, Hollywood and corporate America has been selling us on a good man marries and commits to a victim. If you watch Hollywood, you'll see some goofy woman, and she'll be eating some fruit. There'll be a bad guy with a big gun, and she'll throw the fruit and hit him in the head. Then this dude is trying to kill her, and then you see some fool eating popcorn, and he sees it, right? Hollywood sold us on this, and it's like, no. And then this fool starts running through the movie with her to protect their. He don't know why she did it. He don't know if she made 1,000 poor choices. She's just stupid in her head. He don't know if she's toxic All he knows is he's seen a bad guy with a gun and he's seen her with some makeup in her head. He's like, I'll save you. And so if you're 4 and you're 3 and you're 6 and you're watching this in TV show after TV show, you think a good man is a man that picks projects, not partners. So here you are in school, top of your class, doing your homework, doing your, you know, and there's a girl beside you like Beck, a scholar athlete, right? Built like Father God, right? Dressed nice, working at McDonald's from freshman year to senior year. Don't ask you for nothing. Takes care of parents while she's still, right? You can already see the father's in her life. He's incredibly admirable. You can see a legacy right in your face. She's right beside you at study hall because she's taking a grade serious like you are. Then a girl comes in and she's like, oh, I'm doing terrible in this class. And you go, I have to go back. I must save her. And you marry this clown.
Yeah.
You've been programmed to pick a project over partner. And most of us, there's 2.5 young guys that are affluent right now in America, they're African-American, 2.5 million, which is about 70 to 100 per zip code. It's a lot of sharp brothers. 90% are going to pick a project because they've been programmed. So what we're trying to get the message out to these young guys and to these brothers is you've been set up. It's a setup. She's right. Look at the people. If you're in a race, look at the woman running with you. Don't look at the girl holding the bottle on the side. I mean, you can appreciate her, but if you, wherever you stop is where you end. You know what I'm saying? You stop to talk to her. She was like, my bottle's half empty. And meanwhile, there's a girl running beside you on it. She's trying to be healthy. You trying to be. So I think we're trying to get the message out to a lot of guys is I'm sorry you've been lied to. You only know, if I told you I'm gonna give you $1,000 for every red car that drives down, all of a sudden everybody knows red cars. So we're trying to incentivize men to notice productive women.
Yeah.
We're trying to train them how much more they're successful. If your ex-husband had gotten that message earlier, first off, well, I was there first, but if I had, well, I'll just stick with him. I'm joking. If your first husband had gotten that earlier, he wouldn't have tried to save her. He would have walked away. And when he met you, he would have been grateful earlier.
Yeah.
But you weren't a project. You were a partner. So now I don't know what to do with this beside me. I just know it feels different and it feels better, but I'm still waiting for you to do project stuff.
Yeah.
So I act a fool, always on the defensive, waiting for project behavior with a partner. Yeah. So I'm tearing up the partnership because I've been programmed only to try to have this toxic thing with a partner. There's a passage where the Bible talks about in Matthew that the good person takes the treasure of good and make it better. And the bad person takes bad situations and just make them worse. When you pick projects, you're only going to probably accomplish a quarter of what you could become, what you can do. And when you meet a partner, and the sad thing is, the women are taught the same.
Yeah.
So a lot of the great women pick the project too. Yeah. So by the time they get into a partnership, their credit is so bad, they so beat up that they got to kind of work together to rebuild. So, you know, hopefully, well, you already in a relationship, you know, with a sharp dude, and hopefully, you know, you can help him stay on his P's and Q's and help him learn the law so he can shut her down for that, because that's grimy.
Right.
But does that answer your question?
Yeah, it does. It's just so sad because I feel for the brothers, and here's my intake on women, African American women. I'm all about uplifting women and inspiring women. Yeah,
I'm telling you, you are, because I've seen post after post, song after song. I've read your lyrics. I've seen your shows. Yeah. You love the women, and this is why I want you to say this, because our women have been done so dirty that we think the victim narcissists are everywhere, and they believe that accountability equals manipulation and structure equals control. Like, we're so immature and just dark.
Right.
So even when you hold women accountable, I expect them to be The Bible talks about how a mocker is. That's just what they are. To be mad at you, to love them enough to hold them accountable.
Right.
I expect whatever you Grace say, that the mockers are going to be mad. That you took your life, you ain't begged, you ain't borrowed nothing, right? You got emergency fund on this crisis. You got, instead of them saying, sister, wow, how, like Cain and Abel, how can I learn from you? They're going to figure out a way to kill you. Some kind of way.
Yeah.
So go ahead and share what you want to share. I just wanted to preface that.
Now, me personally, out of the years coming from Baltimore, coming over here to DC, yeah, the era of women are totally different from growing up in Baltimore. The Baltimore women that I know is in Baltimore versus the women here in DC. But one thing I can definitely say, this is just the overall spectrum of women. I see, me personally, just from being an African-American woman, just from hearing the stories, just from experiencing the stories, I see now why men, our African-American women, go to other races. I see it. Do I blame our brothers? No, I don't blame our brothers. Maybe they're just tired. They're just tired of going through or being dragged so much. But here is my intake or my outtake of how I look at society.
Help us.
Our African-American men, we have to stand up for them. Some people may think, oh, you're going against the grain. No, first of all, we are Africans all together. So if you're thinking I'm dating an African to date outside my race, I'm not. I'm just dating. That was just who just came across, and he shine a light on him, okay? He was the one that was just perfect for me when it came time when we met each other. But society itself always are down in our brothers. It's so much that they like. I have a son right now. That's 18, getting ready to graduate from high school. So the last thing I want someone to do is to judge him, because I know how I brought my son up. But the last thing I need is for society to take away from what he wants to do and how what he's going to be in life. But we have so many people tearing down our Black African-American brothers. Why do I want to add to that as an African-American woman? Why do I want to do that? Why? Like, it's already just society itself is taken away from that. So why do I want to add on to that? Why? Why do I want to drag him down already? So my job for me as an African-American sister is to uplift. Even they got too much. They got like, it's like a pile of books, just adding more and more and more on top of that, just already of what, just the skin color. So why add on to all the rest of that? Why put more on them than what they already have already? Just being born Black, that's already an issue and problem right now, Just the skin color, just their skin tone. So why, as an African-American sister, and I'm not saying ERS, AS at the end, why do that to our African-American brother? Why? But again, as you see, all of these different races are actually criticizing our African-American women, and I agree. I'm sorry to be the one on the other side of the fence, but I see why they feel the way they feel because of what the decisions that the women are making. Now, can we make it better? Yes, me and my family in my home with my 5 daughters, I'm going to teach them the right way. I'm going to bring them up and have them I'm just going to lay it all out on the table so they can see it. But that's where I cry and I hurt, and the pain that I see is because we're hurting our own selves. I mean, I don't know. It's so bad that I don't even want to be a part of it. That's why I separate myself from the rest of the women and everything. That it's already enough hatred out here. Why bring more of that to our brothers? Why? I'm just saying, why? So,
the Bible says that the worldly women, are addicted to the immediate.
mm-hmm.
But godly women look for the legacy and the eternal.
Mm-hmm.
That what you just said is so much foresight.
Mm-hmm. But these brothers out here, they have to realize, if you believe, like, I know that their faith has been tested because of everything that women have taken them through, or they're going through right now. But all I can say is just, you have to keep that faith. You have to keep that faith, because there are some good ones out there.
So you feel like the men gotta get away from that saving projects, believe in themselves enough, have enough self-worth to, you hope your son has enough self-worth that he says, I don't need a project. And I'm assuming you're gonna help your son sort through, because how is he doing in school?
Excellent. No problems. No problems.
Proverbs 7:12-21 says, now in the street, now in the squares, at every corner she lurks.
Mm-hmm.
She took hold of him and kissed him. With a brazen face she said, today I fulfill my vows.
Mm-hmm.
The Bible says worldly women are only consumed with the immediate, the godless.
Mm-hmm.
Another passage that talks about how they lurk among the sheep. They in church clapping and singing.
Mm-hmm.
Says, today I fulfill my vows, and I have food from my fellowship offering at home. Today, though. So I come out to meet you. I look for you, and I have found you. I have covered my bed with colored linens from Egypt. I have perfume on my bed with myrrh and aloe and cinnamon. Come, let's drink deeply of love till morning. Just until the morning. Let's enjoy ourselves with love. My husband is not at home. He has gone on a long journey to work for us. He took his purse filled with money and will not be home till full moon. With pervasive words, she led this man astray. She seduced him with her smooth talk. She claims victim. This is 2,200 years ago. Worldly women, gentlemen, tips. They do not think about your legacy.
No.
They do not consider where this is headed. Worldly women do not. They rush you to a wedding. They rush you to stuff. They rush with no idea how it's going to affect everybody. It's literally about them, like James 4 says. Godly women, it says, by faith Moses, when he had grown up, refused to be known as the son of Pharaoh's daughter. He chose to be mistreated along with the people of God rather than enjoy the fleeting pleasure of sin. He regarded disgrace for the sake of Christ as a greater value than the treasure of Egypt, because he was looking ahead for his reward. Godly men and women have foresight. So if you have foresight for your future and you're with a woman that is talking about immediate stuff, gentlemen, what Becca's saying, what Sunshine is saying, what Miss Rebecca House is saying, is you're a dead man. Trust me, I know. As a man who hasn't seen his own children since October of 2019, who's going through the hell that he is going through with his chosen mother.
Mm-hmm.
You have been awesome. Thank you for being here today. I hope this time with you is going to be a blessing to a lot of us, because it has to be.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for coming on, my friend.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
Gangster example for at least a quarter century for a lot of people.
Definitely. And then I told someone the other day, if you only knew my story, if you only knew where I've been, my story, it just goes beyond measure. Some people never ever know your story. No one never ever know his story or her story. So it's a lot that people don't realize and understand, that there are so many people out here like you. You know, we're all some way, somehow linked one way or the other, you know. But there's always somebody that's been in your same shoes. So we all can relate to something. Don't ever say you wouldn't understand. You don't know, because you don't know my story.
Thank you, madam.
You're welcome.
Yes, man.
Yes,
Talk
sir.
to you soon, Miss House.
All right, bye.
All right, bye-bye.
Bye.